very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for that warm welcome. It's all true. I have a background in pure mathematics and I'm a former world debating champion. So, hello, ladies. Oh, yes. Very sexy stuff. I'd like to start by acknowledging also the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and paying respects to their elders past and present. What an amazing exhibition it is. Quick show of hands, who has already been through and seen the Lost Buddhas? Those of you who haven't yet, later tonight, you're in for an absolutely captivating experience. And when I was asked if I'd like to speak at the Art After Hours event, I was excited by that, except for, as would have been made clear by my extensive intro, I don't know much about art, and the little bit I know is not about Chinese art of the 4th, 5th and 6th century. So I said I'd do it as long as they could provide someone who had a bit of an idea what we might be talking about for me to talk with. And how lucky are we to have one of the world's most passionate lovers and gifted experts of Chinese art and art of the era, the director of the gallery. Please welcome Edmund Capon.
I suppose I've got to welcome you now, have I?
No, that's fine.
God, it'll go on forever, this, wouldn't it?
I
want to welcome each and every one of you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I feel welcome. We all feel welcome. Before we start talking about the amazing pieces that are in there in this exhibition, it's best understood in the context of Buddhism in China. These are Buddhist works of art.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship between Buddhism and China is a complex one.
It's an unusual one in the sense that here you had a culture by the time when Buddhism got there, which was in the 1st, 2nd century AD, and there's a lovely little story about that, China was a pretty identified, distinguished, distinctive culture, so why let a foreign faith in? A number of reasons. The original story as to how Buddha got there, there was this emperor, there's lots of emperors, and there was this emperor who in the late 1st century AD had a dream. He was called Ming Huang. So if your name is Ming Huang, you're going to have a dream.
Anyone here called Ming Huang? Anyone here called Ming Huang? Anyone?
Any Mings or Huangs?
Up the back there.
Yeah. Anyway, you have a dream, and he dreamt that there was this golden deity. And he woke up the next morning, and he said to the courtiers, he said, look here, fellas, I had this dream last night about this golden deity that came from over there. I think you better go and find him. And one of the courtiers, who was very, very perceptive, said, that'll be the Buddha. The emperor said, well, would you kindly go and bring him? So off they went, and by the 2nd century AD, they built the first Buddhist temple in Luoyang, which is in north-central China, the then capital of the Eastern Han Empire, called the Baima Se, the White Horse Temple. So Buddhism goes back a long way, but its real period of growth was in the 3rd and 4th centuries and 5th centuries, when most of North China was under non-Chinese rule.
Yeah, what was propelling that growth? What was making Buddhism take hold?
I'll tell you exactly why it is, because one thing, there were two kind of native ideologies. There was Confucianism, and Confucianism was about life on earth. It was it's about how to work your lives on earth. It was a very practical, pragmatic it wasn't a faith, it was a practical doctrine. On the other hand, there was the native Taoism, which is nature worship, which was how you in order to succeed and to be fulfilled in life, you had to succumb to the natures and the rhythms of nature. So you had this one about nature and this pragmatic life on earth. There was a gap in the middle for the metaphysical faith, which is what happened. And Buddhism actually fulfilled that. So you could comfortably have your Taoism to deal with going out and consorting with nature. You could have your Confucianism to deal with the practicalities of life, and you could have Buddhism in the middle to deal with the afterlife. It's very good.
Rather than a religion that needed to destroy other religions to take hold.
It didn't have to do it. That's the point. It
supplemented the existing belief systems.
Yes, it would work. Buddhism could even work in Sydney.
as I think you're proving with this exhibition.
Because it's got hedonism on one side and hedonism on the other side. And a big gap for Buddhism in the middle.
Now, the thing is, when you're talking the 3rd, 4th, 5th century, this is not an age where someone could have emailed someone else and gone, wow, here's this crazy new religion, let's all check it out.
How did it come in?
Did it take grip in certain places more than others?
You know what made it work and what made it happen really was the fact that here was something that an ideology that came in that was accepted at first, not by the populace at large, but by the ruling houses. And it became an instrument of their power. Now, I'm sure some of you a lot of you have been to China, and you go to the Buddhist cave temples. Has anybody heard of a place called Yungang? Not too many. Okay, well, this was built in the 5th century, and it's in a big sandstone cliff right up on the northern Shanxi province, not far from the Gobi. There's this huge cliff face with the carved Buddhas carved into the living rock, like the ones at Bamiyan that the Taliban blew up. They're about 20 meters high, and that each one was carved and dedicated to a previous emperor. So that gives you an idea. So the faith, in order to grow, aligned itself to the ruling houses.
Did the general populace follow the faith, or did it not matter whether they did or not?
No, they did. And what happened then was, this relates to the situation with the go to Qingzhou. What happened then, the ruling house looked at this and they thought, there's all these monasteries, there's all these monks, they're growing vegetables, they're contemplating, and they're not bloody well doing anything. And they were getting too powerful. And the monasteries were collecting more taxes than the ruling. And in 445, there was the first major persecution of the Buddhist faith in China. And they closed down all the monasteries, turfed all the monks out, and it was a kind of mini cultural revolution. And that happened again and again and again for exactly the same reason, simply because the Buddhist faith was actually usurping imperial authority.
And later, when we touch upon where this exhibition comes from and why it comes from there, one of the theories is to do with one of these purges.
Very much so.
Okay, so let's fast forward now to 1996. These pieces we see here, what's the story of their being found?
In 1996, Qingzhou is a place in Shandong province, on the top right of China, and it's not a particularly interesting place. Some of you might have been there. There's a hill, and they built a museum on the hill because that was the site of a temple called the Longxing Temple. And one day in 1996, I think it's October, there's this rather grim playing field where they played football and things, but not terribly well. And they were actually putting up a new thing for a stupid game, not a good game, a stupid game, like netball or something daft like that. And they were digging. I've always said that going gardening in China is a wonderfully, wonderfully rewarding experience, because you go out, dig the potatoes, and you find a nice Chinese bronze or something. And they were digging to put a new pole in. And about 1.5 meters, why they went that far, I'm not sure, but maybe it was a big pole. And they've hit these stone sculptures, these ones. And it transpired that there was this pit that was about 8 by 7 meters, about 1.5 meters underground, about 2.5 meters deep, quite a big area with this vast number of fragmented Buddhas.